Brazil, like for some reason, just so many dramatic storylines, and like the Brazilian Championship is no different. Last year, so Botafogo is like a traditional team from Rio de Janeiro.
Mhm. That's the team with the star, the black team with the star there.
Right here, yeah, this team right here. A couple of years ago, they got relegated to second division. They've always been kind of like number four in Rio. You know, there's Flamengo, and Vasco, which most people know just because they've had more success. And then Botafogo. They've won the championship once. Last time is in 95.
Where's Santos? They're not in this?
So that's we'll get to that in a second.
Okay, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, so they're not a laughing stock necessarily, but they are kind of like the little brother. You know, like they're not. No one's threatened by Botafogo. You know,
Okay, yeah.
translated the name means put fire.
Uh-huh.
We know y'all don't even have. They got relegated. They actually played with Cruzeiro in the second division. And then they got bought by this guy named John Textor, who owns a bunch of other. He's like this American businessman. He owns a bunch of other football teams around the world,
Wow.
like Lyon in France, um, Crystal Palace in England. Probably one of the, like I don't know all the ones, but like
Right.
bought Botafogo, and he promised to like invest money, and that he did. Like he's putting out money and he's buying
Man of his
players. Yeah, and so he really like set Botafogo on a really great trajectory, right? So last season, Botafogo started out like scorching, right? Like first round they were fourth overall. The second round they were second overall. Like they won both of their first games. And from the third round all the way to the 33rd round. So for 30 rounds of a 38 round championship, they were first place. Like by the 22nd round, or something like that, by the middle, they were up by 25 or 22 points on the second place team. 22 points, I'm saying like 3 points wins. So there were 7 wins ahead of the second place team.
Jeez.
And they didn't win the championship.
What happened?
Choked it. Like, I don't really understand. Like, I didn't follow the team like closely. Just in a big way, like started losing a bunch of games, like easy games or tying games that like, against bottom ranked teams. And it all really came to a head in that 33rd round where they were, I think, 2 points ahead of Palmeiras and they played each other. This is kind of the story of the season for Botafogo. They started up 1-0 in the first half and then scored another 2-0. So they were up 2-0. And Palmeiras clawed back 2-1, 2-2, 3-2, turned it around at the end of the game, like 90th minute.
Jeez. Extra time.
Like on stoppage time, not like, like
Right.
that was basically the season. Like from there, Palmeiras leapfrogged them into first place, and
Damn.
4 rounds left, and Botafogo could never really recover. And get this, they went from first place. Remember how I told you the top 4 teams qualified directly into the group stage of Libertadores? The 5th place team and 6th, they go into like a pre-Libertadores like playoff where
Like a play-in?
yeah, like a play-in, like you have to play against like the 3rd ranked team from like Bolivia or something, like to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even make it in the top 4.
Jeez, they dropped from 1 to like 5.
Yeah, to
yeah.
5. And so like it was an epic collapse, which like I'm sure we can get into. Like if the people want to see it, if there's enough interest, like we can get into the details, and like I'll get to the bottom of like what happened, or like the theories of like the beat writers and stuff. Mm-hmm. The second storyline that happened is the relegation battle. So like you think in a tournament where like the top team is 7 games, 7 wins ahead, like 21 points, you're like, okay, this is done, right? Like you would never think there's this much action.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the champion themselves wasn't crowned until the last day. It was still open for 4 teams up until like the last 2 games. Like Flamengo could have won, Atletico could have won, Palmeiras and Botafogo. Like the
Which Atletico?
Atletico Mineiro.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It all depended on like a confluence of factors that like, for whatever reason, like Palmeiras probably was the better team and kind of deserved to win. Flamengo also has a really good team, and Atletico Mineiro too. Like Atletico Mineiro is in a similar situation of Palmeiras, where like they have a guy who's a billionaire, who's a fan of the team, billion-dollar company, and is like, all right, y'all, you guys need money? Like,
I got money. Yeah.
yeah, like now I think he's purchased a part of the team. I don't know the politics of
Right.
whatever, but like they were able to kind of like do some good, lay a good groundwork because they had, this sugar daddy.
Who's the fourth team that you're saying, like, those three deserve to be there, but who's the fourth team?
Fourth place team was gonna be fourth place no matter what.
Oh, okay. It was between those three and Botafogo.
Yeah, it was between those 4, and like the fourth place team at that point was like fifth. It was like, okay, they have no chance of winning. Like
Right.
they're gonna be top, but they have no chance of winning. And how it kind of the cookie crumbled, like Botafogo sucked so hard they shot under those guys.
Damn. They were like a tier below the champions.
Pick to tank for.
Oh my God.
And I'm pretty sure they lost the play-in game and they're not going to be in the Libertadores.
Oh my God. Did they lose a bunch of players in the draft portal, or they just
No, there's
not the draft portal, the transfer portal?
Oh, they managed to keep their players relatively well. So we're going to lose their goalkeeper, which is having a big season, and one of their best defenders to European teams. And what the owner did, John Textor, he basically told them like, yo, stay with us till the end of the year. I'm going to sign you guys for my team, Leon, who plays in Europe. Don't you want to go to Europe? Like, that's where you're going to leave us. I will sign you for my team. Stay with us till the end of the year. We're going to be champs.
Yeah.
Oh.
You'll have a guaranteed spot.
And so they did, and now they're like,
and then they fucked up so hard.
They probably should have left. While they had the chance, but
damn,
their careers are settled, But it comes down to the wire, brother. Like, so at the top of the table, there's that drama, which was like crazy to watch unfold. Bottom of the table, there's even more drama. So Santos, which, as you know, like is one of the traditional teams of Brazil. That's where Neymar played. That's where Pelé played. Like,
yeah,
way back when. And like, if you ask any gringo, like if you know any Brazilian team, like most of them will say Santos. Like there actually was a video I saw the other day that, yeah, a lot of them said Santos. But okay, so get this. Santos, again, very traditional team. They were in no danger really of being relegated. Like they started off, I guess, in 17th, like in the middle rounds there, they did flirt with relegation, but like, I think they were playing in the cup. They're playing well. Like they're Santos. They had never been relegated before. They never thought, like we were going to get relegated. And in like the last, let's say, I don't know, 9 or so rounds. So let's say the 34th round. So 4 rounds before, the end of the championship, they're 14th place. So they were like well and clear, like of the relegation. They're qualified. They're happy. They're starting to plan out their next year. There were a couple teams who were like in danger. So the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, they were all kind of like fighting. Like 19th and 20th,
you're gone. Right.
And I think Curitiba, they're already like, all right, we're already 19. You're already 20th. Like, there's no way. Mathematically, they're relegated. Yeah, and you can see them there. America
and Curitiba. Right.
So in the last 4 rounds, is the following teams are kind of like fighting the spot. It was Cruzeiro, Vasco, Santos themselves, kind of like involved. Goiás, which was 18, right? Vasco to 17. and then Cruzeiro at one point was 17. So it was really like, it was coming down to like Cruzeiro, Vasco, Goiás, and Bahia.
And Bahia made it.
So Bahia saved themselves. And Bahia, that one's important because they've just been purchased by the City Group, which owns Manchester City. So there's 4 teams basically like fighting for 2 spots, which was 15 and 16, right? So it came down to literally like the last day. So these like literally these 4 teams as they were playing, like you could see the results kind of going down, right? Like Cruzeiro saved themselves, I think, with 2 rounds remaining just by having enough results.
Nice.
Santos, which nobody saw coming, looked like they were in a safe spot. Like couldn't win. Cruzeiro started winning. Like they were able to like, kind of like switch places. So the last day, it came down to those 4. It was Vasco, Santos, Goiás, and what was the other one I said? Bahia. I think really on the last day, it came down to like Vasco, Bahia, and Santos. And all 3 were playing. And literally like started out as Bahia was going to get relegated. Then Bahia like won their game and Vasco tied. And so like Vasco was going to get relegated. And so like it kind of like was going back and forth. Like then Vasco top, then Bahia was there. And then out of nowhere, it's like Santos, I think, was winning their game or tied. Like tying would have saved them. And then they lost. And so like they dropped like at the last, when all games were done, kind of.
Right. Because like everybody's getting like 1 to 3 points. If you get 0 points, you just, and then if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards.
I think with like 10 to 5 minutes remaining.
Jeez.
Just like that, like the realization of like, damn, we were safe. And then in 5 minutes, like this all changed. Now we're the ones that are going to be relegated. Like the desperation that these players started playing.
Do they know though? Are they aware in the game? Like,
so that's the thing. Normally not, but you could hear them announcing it in the stadium. Like,
oh my goodness.
This game. And like as a fan, I had all these 3 screens on at the same time, like just watching things happen in these games, like, and how things like change. And like, man, it was a hectic ending. And so, which ended with Santos being relegated for the first time in the ever
in team history. Damn, that's cold.
But yeah, like that is, I think, is what makes the Brazilian league so exciting. Like there's a lot of intricacies. Like it's still soccer at the end of the day. Like it's not that much different about how the game is actually played, but the drama, like the storylines, like the player movement and player like power. Yeah, it's pretty big. It's not, I won't say it rivals the NBA in terms of global, but definitely like in terms of in Brazil, like in terms of interest, in terms of storylines and
popularity,
even more so, I would say, than the NBA.
Yeah, the fans are really passionate, really violent even. So how can I keep up with this? Like, this is really interesting. How do I watch it? How do I keep up with it?
Good question. I'm not sure who like streams it, who has the rights to stream it here, but but that's what I was going to say. Like, we're going to be doing these weekly recaps of the league where we'll watch all the highlights, at least the highlights of the games. We'll talk about some storylines. We'll talk about like some players to watch, that potentially European teams are looking at. We'll discuss, what drama is happening. We'll discuss the things to look out for in the coming week. And it'll be a great way to kind of get introduced deeply into Brazilian soccer from people or from somebody who understands it like very intricately, understands not only the nuance of the league, but also the context of the country and of the, of the players. And, I'm happy to bring everybody on this journey because I think there's a lot of exciting things. There's a lot of exciting things to see in this league. And I hope you'll join us.